Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Your host Gabos is back with another one, man. We're finally out of the audio gulag. I feel like my audio is back to where it used to be. Just purchased a new interface, but yeah. So we're learning. San Francisco 49ers are in shambles. I can't blame you guys. You guys are probably still devastated off that loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. In my personal opinion, it's one of the best Super Bowls in a long time. I'm gonna remember this Super Bowl for years. It went to overtime, and it required Patrick Mahomes to be clutch in order to win that ring. But yo, a lot of people ain't happy with that loss, bro. And apparently Brandon Ayuk isn't happy neither.
Hope to remain with the 49ers moving forward.
Okay, this might have been the last day we touched foot on Levi Stadium.
That's all I got. Thanks, Brandon.
I ain't gonna front. On two of the biggest crucial plays in the Super Bowl, I'm not gonna lie. That 3rd and 5 that would have ended the Kansas City Chiefs. Brandon Ayuk was open on a quick slant. The blitz got there too fast. Purdy couldn't get the ball to him. And then in overtime, this dude Ayuk dropped the defender that was guarding him, was wide open in the end zone for what would have been a touchdown. Well, I almost said game winning. But, you know, because of pass protection, you couldn't get the ball.
I know it's been a very brutal week for San Francisco 49ers fans, and it seems like,
say the least,
unfortunately, things are getting a little worse.
Losing two
now,
rings to
all
one
this
man?
can be rationalized because, obviously, when your team lost the Super Bowl and you came this close, obviously some tempers are going to be flaring. But in this particular instance, it seems almost calculated that Brandon Ayuk is trying to leave the San Francisco 49ers. And there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of parts of this that don't make sense, and I feel like it warranted a video. So before we get to the content, make sure you drop like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. Now that we get all of that out of the way, work!
Respect everything you do, microphone, but we just gonna get right to the video, bro.
San Francisco 49ers wide receivers causing trouble. I mean, literally a week ago, we made a video on how Deebo Samuel got finessed into beefing with Cam Newton. If you guys don't remember this is as a result of Cam Newton saying that Brock Purdy is a game manager. Deebo Samuel came to Brock Purdy's defense and called out Cam Newton on the Up and Adam show.
First of all, Cam Newton stopped texting my phone, bro. He was a fan like 2 weeks ago. Like, that's mad crazy. Like, you wanted me on your podcast after talking about my quarterback, which is funny to me.
Cam Newton would say that he doesn't even have Deebo Samuel's number.
You must stop the cap, bro. Now, my point is this. You said something like,
Cam has been a menace.
Cam, stop calling my phone. Like, well, I don't got your number.
And at that point, you would see these hysterical images of someone impersonating Cam Newton, texting Deebo Samuel, and it even got to a point where Deebo Samuel called the number that he thought was Cam Newton.
Yeah, bro, it's been a minute. I was hoping to connect with you, bro. I mean, we got some boys that look up to you, you know what I mean?
What's going on?
Nothing, bro. I mean, I was just hoping to talk. I mean, I don't know if you're busy right now, but
what the hell?
I mean, I was just honestly calling to, whatever you got for the...
It seems like now Deebo Samuel is beefing with an individual that was on last year's Super Bowl losing team, Fletcher Cox, who immediately called out Deebo Samuel the moment that the San Francisco 49ers lost the Super Bowl with very warranted trash talk. I still got something you ain't got. Yeah, I've been holding this one in, son. EAD. I wonder what EAD stands for. Eat a
glizzy.
I don't know. Let me know in the comment section down below. Immediately after the Super Bowl ended, man, obviously, all of the San Francisco 49ers were emotional. And how could you not be? It's so difficult to make it to the Super Bowl. This is a team that's made it to the Super Bowl 2 times in the past 5 years. And it got so bad that you even saw the San Francisco 49ers offensive lineman, John Feliciano, blaming Spencer Burford for missing a crucial block that allowed a free rusher to Brock Purdy. I mean, saying a quick chop is not needed if the guy that was supposed to block him blocks him. Spencer Burford responded saying, "Sheesh, I opened my app to get to this. Get well soon, bro." And then he said, "I'm sorry, bro. I woke up hungover and and trying to have one's back. I hurt you up and I apologize. You got nothing but greatness ahead of you. I'm sorry, bro." I give him a pass. I'd be emotional if I was the guy that missed the block on Chris Jones. I'd be emotional
Look
if I
how
was
wide
on the
open
offensive
Ayuk is,
line.
yo.
I'd be emotional if I was the guy
Bro,
that missed the
that's
block on Chris
devastating.
Jones. I'd be emotional if I was on the offensive line. I would be blaming everyone. And then after I simmered down, I would realize like, hey, we gave it our best and we ended up losing. You could make so many excuses as to why the 49ers didn't win the Super Bowl. I mean, the Christian McCaffrey fumble, the special teams fumble, a missed extra point, every drive getting sandbagged by offensive penalties, and the receivers somehow losing the ball in the air twice. You could blame the fact that Kyle Shanahan elected to receive the ball immediately and not know the overtime rules. At the end of the day, what's done is done. But that isn't stopping more members of the San Francisco 49ers from
Kyle Shanahan didn't know the overtime rules? I saw that post on social media, but I thought that was cap. I mean, like, I'm not going to say everybody knew. A couple of casuals didn't know that even if you score a touchdown, the opposing team gets the ball. But I didn't think he didn't know the rules.
from being emotional. Another individual that was really sad about
Damn,
the
that's a
final
bad look.
play
When you
that
a
he was
coach-
on the field for the Super Bowl is none other
they
than
saying you
Brandon
didn't know the
Ayuk.
rules?
On this 3rd and 4, when Brock Purdy got hit by Chris Jones, if you take a look at Brandon Ayuk, in this particular instance, he's wide open. Purdy doesn't even have the opportunity to look at him. But if he had 1 or 2 seconds longer, it would have been a touchdown. Maybe the 49ers win at that point. And following that game, Brandon Ayuk was overcome with emotion, saying this.
He ain't say shit.
Just guys that came in to work to be champions every single day.
Goddamn cold, yo. You want to get in the best of your
That's all
boy.
I got. Thanks, man.
Why even put a mic in front of his face? Clearly he wasn't.
And again, don't blame Brandon Ayuk for feeling that way. I don't blame any individual for crying after losing the biggest game of their career. Again, nothing's guaranteed. You don't know if you're going to make it back to this point. Dan Campbell said it best after the Detroit Lions lost the NFC Championship. But Brandon Ayuk had a career year, his 2nd consecutive year where he went over 1,000 yards receiving. But this year, he was an all-pro. He established himself as the wide receiver one for the San Francisco 49ers. And another thing he mentioned during that post-game press conference was his future in San Francisco. This is what started to shock 49ers fans.
It's your hope to remain 49ers moving forward?
Typically, we don't really make full-length videos on one cryptic message from a player during an emotional moment following a very big game when their season ends. We've seen this all the time. How many times have you seen Aaron Rodgers tell you that his future in Green Bay isn't guaranteed? He did it for the final 3 years as a member of the Green Bay Packers.
Any idea who's going to be there? Anybody who's going to be quarterbacking in the number 12 jersey?
Yeah, I don't know, BA. Let's see.
But it seemed like this was a coordinated attack, because the very next day, Brandon Ayuk's girlfriend said that they might not be in San Francisco.
Okay, this might have been the last day we touched foot on Levi Stadium, me and Braylon, because we might not be out here next season.
And you could tell this was coordinated because Brandon Ayuk's brother, or best friend in this instance, also tweeted something about the San Francisco 49ers, but it was a little bit more aggressive in my opinion, saying, "This is the exact reason why we're leaving San Francisco. Thank you 49ers for drafting my brother. We are forever grateful. BA to Vegas. Why does your all-pro 1,300-yard receiver have 3 catches in the Super Bowl?" This is exactly like 2 years ago when the San Francisco 49ers were dealing with Deebo Samuel doing the same exact thing. Only in the case of Brandon Ayuk, he's doing it a little sooner. And by the way, Brandon Ayuk joins in on this, posting "Don't forget what got you there" onto his story. Now, why would he do this? The timing is very interesting to say the least, because what's going to end up happening to Brandon Ayuk is he has a 5th-year option that's going to pay him $14 million, and the 49ers are probably going to exercise that option. And that's when you get to the point where you could start negotiating a long-term deal. Bear in mind, in the case of Deebo Samuel wasn't drafted in the first round of the NFL draft. Brandon Ayuk is. The 49ers essentially get Brandon Ayuk on a rookie scale contract for 1 more season. So why is Brandon Ayuk doing all of this? Does Brandon Ayuk actually want to leave? Well, in this particular instance, he can't leave. He's still under contract for 1 more year. The reason he's doing all this is because he wants a contract extension. It's in the 49ers' best interest to extend Brandon Ayuk as soon as possible, because at the very same time, CeeDee Lamb is already negotiating a contract extension with the Dallas Cowboys. Now, pay very close attention here, because this is where
Can you see Brandon Ayuk getting paid CeeDee Lamb money? Ooh, I don't know. I mean, the 49ers have so many mouths to feed that they spread the ball everywhere. I'm not, it's still kind of premature for me to like really really be able to say what kind of receiver Brandon Ayuk is, if he's a top 10, top 15. I definitely think he's somewhere around 10 to 15, but to demand so it would incentivize the San Francisco 49ers to pay him ahead of time, because once CeeDee Lamb gets paid, he's probably going to want CeeDee Lamb money or higher, but I don't know if he's worth it.
Have a little bit of a problem. If you guys remember, the 2020 NFL Draft featured one of the deepest wide receiver classes that we've seen in recent memory. Henry Ruggs was supposed to be the fastest player in that class, and he was actually doing really well in year 2 before a horrific mistake and a terrible decision on his part ruined his life. Jerry Jeudy was a miss, unfortunately. CeeDee Lamb was a huge home run for the Dallas Cowboys. And then you have Jalen Reagor, who was a miss. Justin Jefferson, that was a hit. Brandon Ayuk, that was a hit. And then you have T. Higgins, Michael Pittman Jr. I used to include Chase Claypool in this list, but he's not really there anymore. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning this is if you were drafted in the first round of this NFL draft, you still have a 5th-year option available to you, but the second round picks are looking to get paid now. T. Higgins and Michael Pittman Jr. are up for contract extensions, but the most important person that you want to beat out in this particular instance is Justin Jefferson, especially if you're the Dallas Cowboys and if you're the San Francisco 49ers. You don't want to pay your wide receiver after Justin Jefferson gets his contract. And in the case of the Minnesota Vikings, I think they're probably going to wait to pay Justin Jefferson so they can figure out what the wide receiver market is, because the wide receiver market exploded in the summer of 2022 when you saw Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams completely reset the market at the wide receiver position. So the 49ers have two options. They can either exercise Ayuk's 5th-year option and then franchise tag him next year.
One year, you don't ever have to work
at that
again.
point, Brock Purdy's time to get a contract extension would be coming up. Purdy's contract is going to be expiring in the summer of 2026, so that's when you'd want to potentially explore extending Brock Purdy before his price tag becomes too expensive. And when Brock Purdy gets his extension, that's when you're going to have to make some tough decisions on the rest of this 49ers roster. So at the end of the day, I think Brandon Ayuk is just trying to leverage his situation to get a contract extension now. I don't think the 49ers are going to trade him. I don't think he's going to leave. He physically cannot leave until next offseason. This is just him trying to get a contract extension now that the season is over. And on top of this, the San Francisco 49ers made a very controversial decision today, announcing that they've officially parted ways with their defensive coordinator, Steve Wilks. This is coming straight from Adam Schefter. As a matter of fact, Kyle Shanahan straight up says that he fired Steve Wilks during a conference call. And 49ers fans feel some type of way about this, because on one hand, throughout the Shanahan era, you had Robert Saleh, D'Amico Ryans, and Steve Wilks. Now
someone
you're going
always
on
has
your
to take the
fourth
fall,
defensive
man.
coordinator. Which sucks when you have a group of all pros on the defensive side of the football, especially when defense was a very strong point for the San Francisco 49ers. Now, was Steve Wilks very aggressive in the way he ran his defense? Did he blitz a lot? Yeah, he blitzed a lot. But of course, it ended up working because the 49ers not only made it to the Super Bowl, but they held Patrick Mahomes to 19 points in 4 quarters. I think it's a little unnecessary to point the blame finger at Steve Wilks. I certainly don't think he deserves to be fired. I certainly don't think the blame falls squarely on his shoulders. And I think it's a little cheap that he is getting the blame. Maybe Kyle Shanahan has someone better in mind, but all I could say is having a revolving door at defensive coordinator when you have players like Nick Bosa, Charvarius Ward, Fred Warner.
I hate when coaches act like coaches can't get better in due time.
It's not necessarily ideal. If you're a 49ers fan, let me know in the comment section down below what you think is going to happen to Brandon Ayuk. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.
I'll say this. Wide receivers don't get moved like that, no matter how much times they cry or try to complain. There's no real big moves when it comes to wide receivers. Rarely ever happen, son. But to blame the defensive coordinator, I hate the fact that someone has to be a fall guy in that situation. You lose the Super Bowl. Listen, man, you lost to someone that they called the GOAT. Now, I mean, they're saying this kid could challenge Tom Brady. There's no shame in that. Now, do you want to be a champion? Of course you do. But, yo, bro, there's a difference when you're going up against greatness. I think that if it's any other quarterback, the 49ers win the Super Bowl. That's just my opinion. I think if it's Lamar, the way that these guys came out and played that first half, man, I think the 49ers win the Super Bowl. But y'all went up against Patrick Mahomes. And for the defensive coordinator to have to be the fall guy when the defense has been elite all year, you know what I mean? Like, you got some dogs out there, bro. But y'all let me know in the comment section. I'm going to holler at you guys, man. This was San Francisco 49ers are in shambles. The boy Gabos is back, son. Enough of this audio headache nightmare. We're back. I'm out.